Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu Mahavid Vishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hi, I have been traveling for the last couple of weeks taking care of a lot of things, and I'm very happy to be back and engaged in class again, back to doing weekly classes. Today's theme is, I think my little slogan is moving from victim to victor, victimization to victory, and to flesh that out a little bit more, the idea that any negative experience or thought process can be transformed into a positive experience or thought process. And part of that is through realizing that any experience we have has the potential to the ability that we can let it be a blessing. One of the things that I was dealing with the last 2 weeks is a woman that I've been mentoring for 2 years went back to prison. And one of the things I noticed was that I was in resistance to that experience, resisting it for her, resisting it for me. And until I can be present with that as reality, I'm going to be in a place of feeling like life has victimized me, that life has victimized my friend. So today we're going to use those clues about when we feel like we or someone else has been victimized to know that's where we need to lean in and dig deeper and accept the reality of that experience and grow from that. Okay, so let's tune in with Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Sit tall. Feel the sources of strength and stability that are available to you. Enhance that sense. Pause for a few breaths, using the focus of the breath to draw your mind into a more single-pointed space. And then let's inhale together to chant. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Om Namo Guru Deva Namo. All right, come onto your hands and knees. We'll do just good old cat-cow, but we're going to do it for an extended period of time. So you place your hands, place your knees, go ahead and begin the process of lengthening the front side of your spine and then lengthening the back side of your spine, alternating back and forth. And during the next few minutes, tap into your own awareness of your body. Have the sensations in your body be your focus. And then own this simple practice for yourself. How can you
shift, alter, enhance, move through it? How do you breathe? Find all of the ways that your body would like you to enhance this pose so that you own it and get the most out of it. Each time that you notice your mind has slipped to something else, bring it back to how your body feels, and most especially how your spinal column feels. If you need to be sitting in a chair, you can just have your hands on your knees and do spinal flex. But again, full attention on your own body, on the sensations in and around your spine. Feel the teacher that you are to yourself. All right, perfect, good. Come back to neutral. We're gonna be balancing on our left knee. So if you need a little cushion for that knee, get yourself set up. And then we're working largely now with the psoas muscle, which extends from your inner thigh all the way up to essentially the base of your diaphragm. So as we draw the right knee towards the nose, imagine that you're making that muscle as short as it can go, making it on slack. And then when you inhale, reach out. Try and make that area stretch. So you want to feel a stretch all through your low belly, maybe your thigh. One long last stretch. Great. And then switch to the other side. So it's nice to start with a curled in position. Take your knee as close to your nose as it will go. Really try and squish yourself. And then lengthen, stretch. As in just about every yoga pose I can think of, when you're compressed, that's the exhale position. When your chest is expanded, that's the inhale. And one more. And if you'd like like to luxuriate in that final stretch a little bit, go ahead. And then you can drop to your knees. And if it's comfortable for you, sit on your heels. If it's not comfortable for you, find a way to alter how you're sitting until it is. You might sit on a block, you might sit on a cushion, you might just sit in a chair. You can make your knees a little bit wider for balance. Hold on to your opposite elbows, and you're going to try and stretch the sides of your spine one way and then the other. Go ahead and let the sides of your neck be part of this. So it's as though you're letting gravity take the top of your head. Inhale up, exhale to the other side. Great, inhale upright. Go ahead and engage the muscles of the pelvic floor, feeling as though you're redirecting energy, chi, upwards. Feel as though you can squeeze that energy all the way up your spine. Feel length through the top of your head. If you want to engage the tongue mudra to the roof of the mouth, the eyes upwards. Great, release. If you can keep sitting like this, do so. Otherwise, go ahead and put your fingertips on the back of your head, back base of your head, and use the resistance of the fingertips into the back of your head to expand your elbows, expand your chest as broad as you can be. And then we'll swivel side to side. Inhale left, exhale right. Let that work of the head position and the fingertips allow your head and chest to come into a better relationship with each other. So the backward movement of your head into your fingertips should let your head come more squarely above, directly above your rib cage. Inhale to center. Engage Mula Bandha. Feel as though you can draw energy to a center spot in your pelvic floor, and then you're compressing it upwards through your spine. If it helps in the process, eyes can look up, tongue can press into the roof of the mouth. Feel energy moving all the way to the center of your head or the top of your head. Good, release. We'll just do a tiny bit more if you want to bring your knees together. Spinal flex with your hands on your thighs. Great, inhale tall, engage the pelvic floor, feel that energy move up through your spine. If it works better for you to visualize the energy moving up your spine, do that. Or if you just need to posit the belief that energy is moving up your spine, do that. Great, release. Let's do one more little exercise for the back before we come up to standing.
So with forward bending, we're going to begin by stretching the backs of the legs. The backs of the thighs in particular are very massive, strong muscles, especially in contrast to the low back, smaller, weaker muscles. So we want to make sure that, especially during the beginning of this, we're feeling this in our thighs, in the backs of our legs, from the heels, maybe even from the toes, all the way down the soles of the feet, backs of the legs, through the glutes. So in order to do that, you might need to put more height underneath your bottom. And it might even be a dramatic amount of height. You can draw your sits bones back away from you to start to enhance that line. The more that your feet are flexed, the more you're going to work with that line. There's actually a line of fascia as well that can be worked from the soles of the feet all the way up the back of the legs. If you can reach to your toes and can draw them more towards you so that you start to feel it in your feet and your calves, great. And we'll keep the low back as neutral as we can to start out so that the stretch is all in the legs for the beginning. You can stay here with long, deep breathing if that feels like it's of the most benefit, or if you want to do breath of fire, you can do that. Feel like you have a tail and you're trying to stick your tail out behind you. Feel like you've got spiky heels on and you're trying to reach your heels in the opposite direction. Feel like the backs of your knees are pushing flat. They're pushing closer and closer to the floor. Just a little bit longer. And now see if you can get the sense of this low part of your stomach is reaching towards your thighs or reaching towards your toes. Get that enhanced forward angle in the low belly, and keep going with either long, deep breathing or breath of fire. A nice full inhale. Feel like your chest, your belly is reaching towards your toes. And then as you exhale, bend your elbows out to the side or towards the floor and see if there's any additional stretch you can get in the backs of your legs. Perfect, good. Okay, so we've got all that wonderful stretch there. And now we're going to relax our spine, totally relax the head, neck, spine, as though you were letting the top of your head drop towards your knees, or perhaps it's your shins. It's like your upper body's rolling into a tight ball. Relax through your jaw. For the last few seconds, feel like there's a heavy weight on the top of your head that's lengthening the back of your neck. Great. And then you can separate your hands so that they're on the floor, and use your palms against the floor to help you walk yourself back to upright. Pause for a second, and then we'll come up to standing for just a little bit. So first we'll warm up our spine in a fairly specific way. We're going to curl down one vertebra at a time, moving towards the ground. You want your arms to stay relaxed, so you can even have your tongue up in the roof of the mouth. Feel like that's the beginning point, and tuck one vertebra, and then the next vertebra, and the next, and the next, and move your way down very systematically. So doing it this way, you're having to use some muscle engagement in the front of your abdomen. Make sure your arms and shoulders stay relaxed.
Feel that engagement in the belly, especially as you get bent over. Roll all the way down as far as you can go. Shift the weight a little more into your heels and reverse that process. So it's as though your spine is becoming this beautiful waterfall up. You can bring your arms up or just out to the side, whichever you prefer. And then again, starting from the soft palate back behind your nose, feel that as the first pivot point, and then the next, and the next, next, and roll yourself down. Find muscle engagement in the front of your body as you move through rolling down the low back. Roll yourself up. If you need to go even slower than I'm going, do so. And we'll do one more round like that. And I'm just taking the time to do that because it's easy to lose muscle engagement in the core when going up and down, and so we want to make sure that those muscles remember how we want them to work. And then we'll reach up, get a nice baby back bend, feel that your core is still providing you stability and strength, and then sweep your arms down. If you're seated, you can do this same practice sitting in a chair. Just have your feet on the floor, knees wide apart. Perfect. Inhale up. Work with Mulband. Exhale. Step your feet wider apart. Go ahead and sweep your arms down. Take your right foot towards your right hand towards your left foot. Reach the other arm up. Just stay down low and pivot to the other side. So opposite hand to opposite foot. Other hand reaching up as high as it will go. Just do that side to side. If your body is craving a little more range on that, you can bend your knee side to side and go down lower. Good, and then hands to the center. Let the top of your head hang heavy towards the ground. Great. Walk your hands down as gracefully as you can. Come back down, and we'll do a similar, like the last thing we did was a warm-up for what we're going to move into next. So legs wide, torso tall, and we'll start simply by pivoting the whole torso towards one outstretched leg. Go over as far as you can. Come back to center. Pivot towards the other. Come down. Similar to when we were doing forward bends, if you're hunched way far back, and this exercise is in your low back instead of your legs, get that height underneath your bottom. You can also put your fingertips on the floor, push down and back to help you lift your chest and get that base of where the posture should start. So these might be fairly small movements. Pivot towards one leg, see how far you can go over. Come to center, pivot to the other leg, see how far you can go over. So let's just do side to side for a little bit. Noticing if one side is looser or tighter. Noticing that there's a desire for the opposite sit bone to lift up off the ground. You want to resist that, so not only are you reaching out towards this toe, your opposite hip is reaching down and back. And if your
body is craving a little more range of motion with this, you can take the same sided arm to the inside of that leg and reach the opposite arm over your head. So that both hands are moving towards that toe. Come back through center. Do the same thing to the other side. And remember that whole sits bone, the opposite hip wants to pull down and like it's trying to drill into the ground. Good. Come back upright. Fingertips behind your body again. Push down with your fingertips so you can get that forward movement with your torso. You'll feel the entirety of your pelvic bowl tip more upright, or if you have the flexibility, to tip a little bit forward. So that might be where you hold this next position. If you want to do some breath of fire, you can. If you can easily hold that, put the hands in front of you. Flex your feet, push the backs of your knees towards the floor. Keep your sits bones anchored. See what degree of forward movement you can get. Just a little bit longer, doing your best to keep the back of the knees moving towards the floor so much so possibly even your heels come off the ground. Good, and then just as before, you can use your hands to help you walk back upright. I like to put my hands under the backs of my knees, wrap around the backs of the knees to help bend, bring them back upright, and then we'll put the soles of the feet together. So depending on your range of motion, you might want to have your hands on the outsides of your knees to support your legs as we move through a little butterfly movement. Another hand variation is holding on around the outsides of the feet. Get as much length in your spine as you can. So rather than being hunched and rounded forward, you want that same sense of the belly moving forward in front of you, the low back moving forward. And then inhale, exhale. Make sure that you're as tall as you can be up on your sits bones. And then we're going to lengthen our spine upright and then see if there's any degree that we can move forward. Lengthen your spine upright. See if there's any degree you can move forward. If your legs are down at the ground, that might be more of a folding forward. This is a great position because the elbows can be on the inner thighs, providing a little bit of leverage. Inhaling, straightening the spine, exhaling, finding what amount you can lean forward. So even if your knees are away from the floor, you can have those elbows at the inner thighs, giving a little leverage as you go forward, coming back up, leverage forward, coming back up. And then take both knees upright and slide your heels out straight. We'll come onto our backs for bridge pose. And we'll start out with a very basic bridge pose, pressing down into the feet. You want your knees to be no wider apart than your feet, and ideally your feet are pointing forward. We're going to lift up and roll down. So we've done a lot of great spine warm up here. We've done a little work to make sure that the abdominal muscles are engaging. So just take your time here, make sure you've got good form, explore what feels best for your body. And then we're going to enhance the pose if it works, if these adjustments work for you. So I end up putting my feet a little bit wider so that I can get them closer to my body, wrap my hands around my ankles, and then you use the strength of your arms to help you get up a little bit higher and then down. If bridge pose is not a possibility for you at the moment, you can also have a block, and you just can, support yourself, place the block under your sacrum so that this is more of a stationary pose. By holding on to the ankles, the posture goes to another level because you're able to get your shoulder blades a little further behind your body. You're able to get your chest closer to your chin. So wherever you are now, the next time you come up, stay up. Check to see, are you still maintaining the arches in the soles of your feet? Make sure that your feet feel strong and stable. If you're holding on to your ankles, see if you can walk your shoulder blades even further under your body so that you've got that tight compression across the thyroid, pit of the throat, and then if you like, some breath of fire. Great, and deep inhale. Exhale, roll down. Scoot yourself out, long and flat. Or do a piston-like movement with the legs. So bring your right knee into your chest, left leg ideally a little bit off the floor, or if it needs to be on the floor, do that. And with a thrusting type movement, stretch the right leg out, bend the left knee in. If you're straining in your neck to do this, try placing your fingers underneath your head so that you can push your low back closer to the ground. Great, inhale, exhale, relax. Almost done, just a couple more things. Bend one knee, put that foot on the floor, press down hard to roll yourself over. And we'll work with cobra pose. We're gonna break it into two components. So first you have your forehead on the floor, so that it feels like the back of your neck is pretty flat. Go ahead and bring your hands all the way down along the sides of your ribs. And we're going to do that because it draws the front of the shoulders away from the floor. So we'll start by just using muscle strength to feel like we're lengthening our neck, lengthening the front of the throat, as you slide your chin away from your body and then lift up just to where the upper chest is off the ground. We're using muscle strength in our neck and chest. And then reverse that. So roll down and tuck your chin in. So it's a little bit like you're in Jalandhara Bandha. Inhale, elbows pointing away from your body. Lengthen through the throat and neck. Lower back down. Inhale. So let's break this even into a more distinct breath pattern. Inhale as you lengthen the head and neck. Hold the breath as you lift the upper part of your chest away from the ground. Exhale as you come back down. Inhale, lengthen the neck, chest, chin away from the body. Hold the breath as you arch the upper, the shoulders and the upper chest. Exhale as you roll down. Do a few more, and as you're in that phase of lengthening, as you're breathing in, feel your tailbone and your feet lengthen away from your upper body. Great. And then we'll just do one more variation on that. Once you've used muscle strength to get your neck and head off the floor, then we're going to kick in with the arms and have them do the rest of the rolling up movement. So your spine's going to stay relaxed, and any additional upward movement that you get is going to be through the strength of your arms. So we're on the floor, forehead on the floor. Feel like you've got length from your feet, from your pubic bone and tailbone, both reaching away from your head. As you inhale, slide your neck, throat, chin away from your body. Lift up your chest a little bit, and then passively with the arms, arch yourself up. Exhale down. Inhale, lengthen. Hold the breath as you arch yourself up. Exhale down. Just a few more like this. Last two. Wonderful. One last time, use the strength of your arms to help you come back into child's pose, if you like child's pose. If you prefer to have something under your chest for child's pose, that's great. And then if you have the range of motion in your shoulders, interlace your fingers behind your back and raise your hands and arms away from your body. If gently moving your arms side to side or up and down creates a pleasant experience, then do that. And then drop the arms. Feel like there's a tugging deep in your body behind your belly button that initiates you rolling all the way upright. We'll do just a few rounds of maha bhanda. I'll give you an alternative if you haven't mastered that practice yet. No matter whether you're going to do it standing, seated in a chair, you want to make sure that your knees are stable so that you can press down firmly into them for the practice. So if you're sitting on the floor and you're unfamiliar with the practice, then you're going to do Agnisar Kriya. So no matter what, everybody's going to do 30 powerful inhales and exhales, followed by a full inhale and an exhale. And if you are not doing Maha Bhanda, you're going to stick your tongue out and exhale that way. And then I'll talk us through the rest a little bit more. So I think I've had enough sitting on my ankles. I'm going to put enough height underneath me so that I can get my knees squarely on the ground. If you like to work with Siddhasana, do Siddhasana, hands on the knees. If you want to slightly lean forward, you can do so, and we'll start with breath of fire. Great. Now a full inhale. Exhale everything out. Go ahead and stick your tongue out if you're doing, we're not doing maha bhanda. If you are, engage bhanda. Make sure all the air is out. Draw your chin to your chest. Squeeze your elbows like they're moving towards each other instead of away. Keep all the air out. Release everything, come upright so there's an easy flow of air back in. Let your breath come back to normal for a little bit. So we do those, one of the reasons of doing the breath of fire first is that it adjusts the oxygen CO2 saturation in our blood. It makes it easier to hold the breath for longer. And that's what we're trying to do, is extend the amount of time that we can hold the breath out. And ideally with Bhanda engage, with all of the air out of the body, with neck lock engaged, and then you engage the muscles of inhale without letting any air in, and you'll get this great vacuum flying up motion in your torso. All right, 30 more rounds of breath of fire. Inhale. Exhale. If you're doing maha bhanda, bhanda. All the air out. Neck lock. Squeeze the elbows towards each other. Compress the thyroid. And then engage the muscles of inhale. Find relaxation and peace in that exhaled space. Continue to try and cultivate that, and then when you can't any longer, we're going to release it. If you find that you cough or have any other sort of gasping sensation as you come out of it, exhale out a tiny bit more before you inhale. Let the breath normalize. Okay, let's do a couple more rounds. So I'm not going to do anymore. I think that was good for me, but I will pause for a second for anybody that wants to do a fourth round on their own. Great. We're going to move directly to meditation, and then we'll do a more relaxed part after that. If you need to give your legs a break before you end up sitting again for a while, do that. we're going to do a chant, Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. I'll say it again. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, and then you just reverse those two lines. Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. And we're going to get faster and faster. You chanted it something of a monotone, and Guru Ratana talks about using this mantra as getting into the space of the magical. Guru Dev said that it was an ability, it was like an axe that could cut through whatever negative thought or habituation that we might have. And then I love this translation of what the mantra means. There is one creator. All is the blessing of the one creator. And this realization comes through grace. It comes through grace, but we're giving grace a little nudge to get there for us. I've been reading a book about Einstein, and he called his word or his phrase for God was the Ancient One. So I'm just going to read that one more time. There is an Ancient One that is the creator of all. All is the blessing of the Ancient One, and we realize this through grace. Okay, the mudra is very simple. You'll have the sides of your hands and the sides of your pinky fingers touching. Your hands are cupped upwards like you're receiving something. In temples in India, prasad is this delicious honey, buttery goo that they give you that's supposed to be like a nectar. So the hands are here like we're receiving some great gift, some great nectar, and we're going to be gazing into the hands as we chant. And like I said, we'll get a little bit faster as we move along. Deep inhale. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Sat Guru Prasad, Sat Guru Prasad, Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Satguru Prasad, Satguru Prasad, Ek Onkar, 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 Ek Onkar Sadguru Prasad Sadguru Prasad 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 Ek Onkar. Enjoy for a few more breaths, a sense of sitting in blessing. Feel as though you are surrounded by blessing. Notice the natural upwelling of gratitude when you feel as though you are blessed. #blessed. I find that to some extent the feeling of resistance to life, to negative thought loops, to feeling like I'm a victim, the opposite of all of those is finding a place of gratitude. All right, now for relaxation, you're welcome to lie on your back or you can stay upright. It's actually going to be something of an active relaxation. We're going to do a practice. It's called Antarmona. It'll take maybe 5 minutes. What I find this to be invaluable for is being able to differentiate the different components of my mind. The sensory processing part, the evaluating, learning part, like that maybe I would identify as the ego, and then the part that's able to observe both of those. So make yourself comfortable, totally comfortable. Relax on your back if that feels like the most appropriate thing. Take a little bit of time to let your body feel heavy, to cultivate a sense of weight and heaviness in your body. And through that to sink, feel as though you're sinking into the ground, whether you're upright or on your back. So actively using that sense of weightiness to help you to relax. We want to minimize tension, especially physical tension, as we start to move into this practice. Just a little bit longer, feeling yourself as so heavy that you couldn't move even if you wanted to. And just sinking into that, not resisting. Good, and then we're going to put our attention on sounds. We're going to find all the sounds that you can. Shift lightly from one sound to another. And what I'd like you to start to notice is that sound is a dynamic that's happening with your ears. That when we first come into these bodies, when we're born, we have no ability to differentiate between any different sound. We have no story about what sounds are good or bad, with how this sound is related to these experiences. See if you can isolate yourself down to simply noticing sounds, noticing the sounds as they react with your ears, and remove yourself from any classifications of the sounds, any stories or evaluations about where you've heard these sounds before, what type of bird this is. See if you can remove yourself from those. Maybe there are sounds that are far away. Maybe there are sounds that are near. Take a little time with each sound and then move to another. The evaluating part of your mind, the part that says car, bird, wind, notice each time it comes up and then acknowledge it and set it aside. We won't be needing that part of our mind right now. Notice your ability to hear that relationship between the sounds in your ears, and that is separate from your thoughts and memories and classifications that happen as a second step. Perhaps you can even listen to all the sounds merged together as one giant wall of sound. And now I'd like you to notice that there is the sound hearing, the sensory portion of your mind. There's the evaluating portion of the mind that we're not paying attention to right now. But there's some other part of who we are that's able to notice both these things. Is there a way for you to lean into, to enhance that observational portion of yourself? This is the place that we seek to get to with meditation. now we'll shift our attention back into our bodies. Notice that you're here lying on the floor or sitting on the floor. Start to move and stretch however feels appropriate for you, and eventually make your way upright. The Antar-mona has several different phases or stages to it. And the next stage is that now we've learned to differentiate out the sound processing part of our minds versus the evaluating part, the judging part, the ego part, and then the observer that can actually control those. The next step is that you can start to try on different thoughts or evaluations and notice that those are not as ironclad as we might have gotten to feel that they are, that we can step in and out very deliberately of certain thoughts or beliefs. So I hope that in today's practice that you have a tool, some tools to get to that place of neutrality, of observation, and that I think that's all I got to say. All right, let's take our hands together for one long Sat Nam. Sat Nam. Thanks so much for being back today. I'm very glad to be here too. Sat Nam, Namaste. See you next week.